Hey everyone, I'm Ryan from WM Guitars, and today we will be going through this video of a restoration that I've recently done on a Taylor guitar. So as you can see, this is how it came into us, absolutely covered in filth. There's quite a lot of damage to the frets all the way up the neck, and he was using many different tunings on this guitar, so the neck wasn't amazingly straight anymore. As you can see, there's a lot of damage in the top. This he just wanted sealed, so all the wall wounds will stay there, but it'll just be a lot cleaner in the end, so that's what we're aiming for. As you can see now, I'm taking out all the frets on the guitar, and yeah, now we're leveling it. So I used a liquid to soak the fretboard before pulling the frets out. They weren't glued in. This just helps make the wood less dry so it doesn't chip out quite as much. You always get a little bit of chip out from pulling frets out. You can heat the frets up, but it's only really necessary if they've been glued in. And I tested this out on one of the frets, but I know that Taylor doesn't normally glue in their frets, and this was no exception. So you can see here I'm leveling the board out. We use just a standard leveling beam for this, and now I'm radiusing the board. So we use these radius blocks to certain radius, and we can sand that in. Use radius gauges to test how accurate that radius has been sanded in. Then we use several different grades of sandpaper, checking the radius throughout the whole stage, and making sure that we're not sanding the board flat in the middle. It's quite easy to do when you're sanding something by hand, so we always keep a close eye with the radius gauges. We sand the board out to 10,000 grade sandpaper, which is a lot further than most people generally go for. Most factories sand out to about 2,000 grade. And we go all the way up to 10 just to seal the grain in. It stays a lot cleaner for a lot longer. It's a lot less porous. Here you can see that I'm pressing the guitar. So we used high carbon stainless steel for this fret job, and you can get a lot of different types of stainless steel. The high carbon content stainless steel is a lot tougher, a lot harder to work, and you need diamond tools to be able to work it down. Most people don't like working with it at all. So you also saw the fret press that we use on our pillar drill. We just got a pillar drill. It's basically exactly the same thing as a custom made fret press. And we can do all the way up to a certain point before we have to tap in when the neck's still attached to the body. So now they're all in, I've trimmed down the sides, I've taken the tops off, so I've made them all level with each other. And you can see that I used a Sharpie to colour in the frets and sand them down so I can see any high spots and low spots. A really handy trick, that. We then crown them in using special files, take the edges down, again using special Japanese files. It's hand sand in the edges, so it makes everything super smooth, and we roll in the edges of the fretboard at the same time. And here you can see me go polishing out each individual fret. So we actually have fret guards. I'm not polishing on the fretboard because I've already just sanded that out. These are little metal guards that go around each fret, and you can just move them up as you go. Makes it really handy. When I get to about a 5,000 grade on the frets, then it's fine for me just to go back and sand over the board as well, and sand it all down together and smooth it all in. So now we're done with the fretboard, we move on to the body. Now this is only kind of light cosmetic work, so just cleaning it up with a bit of soap and lightly soaked water, very, very light, just take all the grime off. Now brushing down all of the damage on the wood, and the water helps make the wood porous. It gets all the dirt up to the top, and you have to scrub it a lot to be able to get the staining out of the wood. And now here you can see me using a a very low viscosity super glue. So this is a super glue that will soak into the wood, and it's actually better than any kind of wood hardener, and it won't react to the finish that's already on the guitar. I only apply it to the places where there's no finish left anymore, so it's just down to bare wood, and it will really soak in, so you see me applying it an awful lot because it just basically vanishes. It's not like normal super glue. And build it up layer by layer until it's bigger, and then you work it down from there. So here I'm custom making a nut. So we've got blanks of bone, they're just rectangles of bone. You can see me cut the edge down by hand with a saw, and then I take it on the machine to get the basic shaping in. I will sand in the perfect right angle so it fits in the nut slot, and then I'll trim off the top, round off the back, put a basic radius in it. That's all done on the machine by hand. It takes quite a lot of years to build up that knack by hand, so you don't overdo it. So the machine will just eat the nut away, it will just dissolve otherwise. So here you can see me measuring out the string spacing, and now using custom sized files which are the same size as the strings to cut in each nut slot. We use a gauge that clamps on the neck, so you can set the height with the file, so you just cut down to the height of the actual gauge there. Polish it out again to 10,000 grit so it blends into the fretboard, and install it. And as you can see, it had a small little imperfection. Bone is a natural material, everything has little imperfections. I actually posted that one on Facebook when I was doing it, and the majority said to keep it and don't throw it away, and I totally agree. That nut was absolutely fine. It was a small little imperfection, a small little hole which had got dark inside because it was a little cavity. But that's quite natural, and if it's not in anywhere in the active part of the nut, then I don't see it as really an issue. Here I'm working down the glue fills that I did, and as you can see it's a little bit darker, but that's also because of the polishing. It will lighten out and blend in a little bit more over time once it's dried. But it's not really also that devastating, because he didn't mind the wall wounds, he wanted it sealed and good. Here you can see actually a major problem. So that's one of the main X braces, and it split, and it's a split that we don't often see. It's actually down the length, so that had to be sorted out and glued back up. And actually the X brace wasn't even felted, which is unusual especially for a Taylor guitar. Martin always felts their X brace, but then they also want to cover how good the join is. So I've spatulaed in a bit of glue, worked all the glue in, and now you can see I've got some spreaders, a bit of rubber to protect the top, and clamp it down. So now it's all dry, move on to the hardware, polishing up all the individual bits of hardware. Get the saddle in, get some strings on it. And now the setup begins. So you'll see me moving the strings out of the way, taking them all off, taking one or off here or there. This is all adjusting the action. So this is quite a fine process. Lots of people, there's lots of different ways you can go about setting up, and we definitely have our own developed techniques. So this is the process. You set each individual string height, you set the radius to match the curve of the fretboard. You also have to set your intonation, but that intonation is at the end. You want to make sure your nut and your saddle are the right height and your relief on the neck is okay before you attempt attempt any intonation setting. And there we have it. I will be doing a few more setup specific videos in the future, but this is just a very quick once over of a restoration and a full setup. I've got nice high carbon frets with rolled edges. You can still see a little bit of graining through the fretboard. I actually really like that. Taylor stained them all kind of jet black. Nice new nuts. Got a sealed top again. All that damage is still there. I haven't built it back up to make it flat. I mean, if we were to do that, then I'll just refinish the whole top so it could be blended in properly. That wasn't the point here. Sealing was the point, just to make it last a bit longer. The damage is still there on the back, but everything's had an oil, so it's sealed back in again. And it's looking an awful lot cleaner than when it came in. That's the point. Yeah, so I hope you like our quick walkthrough video on the Taylor restoration. It was a really fun project to do. It actually turned out really nice. It played wonderfully, had a really low, tight setup on it, just how we like it. And it was playing with 13 gauge strings, but it felt like playing on 11s. It was amazing. So yeah, hope you like this one, and there'll be much more to come. Let me know if you'd like anything specific, and we'll focus on that in future. If you want any setup specific videos, if you'd like any custom made parts, handmade parts, let us know, and we'll try and focus on doing some more of those. Nice one. Have a good day, guys.